Hey, Curtis,
Hey, Oz.
you got a movie for us this week?
I do. I got a movie marriage for you, my friend. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure meets Teen Wolf, plus Bill Nye the Science Guy, and a whole lot of Tony Hawk Pro Skater. This week we're watching Back to the Future.
Tony, I was a big fan of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
Oh yeah, not the original.
No, I never played the original.
The
I
Deuce
think Pro
version.
Skater 2 is the only one I played. It was fun. But it's one that's like it wasn't fun enough to like. Oh, I got to get the next one.
Yeah. That's what'll do.
Yeah, it's fine.
I've never played a Tony Hawk game.
You're not
Never.
missing anything. I'm not craving it.
I'm not missing a sweet ollie.
No, no ollies, and you're not going to go into like Tyrone Bigham's level of withdrawal for Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Not missing out on grinding the rail.
There are some sweet points though for
I'm
grinding
sure.
them rails.
I'm sure.
No,
there are.
it was a fun game, but it definitely was a time capsule game.
Yeah. All while watching the X Games.
Exactly. Like you bring that up now, like, hey son, I'd like to share this video game I really enjoy. They'll be like, what?
What? Is that like a hoverboard?
Right. What is that? So, to each their own. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Let's Talk About Flicks, the podcast where myself, Oz,
And me, Curtis.
are bringing you another film. New month, new theme.
New theme.
New theme. What is our theme this month?
This month, and I credit Oz on this one. This month's theme is oxymoronic titles.
Yeah,
I love just the concept of this
Yes,
theme.
it's fun. It's just I gotta start writing them down because I've had some just pop in and out. I need to like jot them down on my phone or something so I remember to bring them over here. But by the time I get in front of the spreadsheet, I'm like, I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
But again, we've got 4 years worth of
Yes, yeah,
themes.
we're well into the future.
So yeah, it's like it's okay if I don't remember 1 or 2. We've got enough covered. So yeah, your movie this week to kick off another.
Yeah.
This is just a 4-parter, just a 4-part.
Yeah, only four this month. We only got 4 Wednesdays this month.
But they are a packed 4 weeks, so it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, Back to the Future, your film,
Yes, yeah, my film.
not
So
literally your film.
No, yes, I made this. This film is in a long tradition of films in my family. This was
you guys pen name Bob Zemeckis, which
Yes,
I thought
yeah.
was it's kind of your Alan Smithy moment.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, all the family was involved. Distant cousin Don S was involved.
Yeah.
First cousin Michelle was involved.
Yeah. It's good times.
all there.
John S., I believe, played the principal in this movie, correct?
He did. Yeah, he was the principal.
Yeah.
Very stern principal.
Yeah, yeah. He also showed up in that other family film of yours, Top Gun.
Yes, he was at Top Gun. Also, Masters of the Universe.
Masters of the
He
Universe.
really.
John S. has been in quite a bit of stuff.
He was a big presence in mid to late '80s cinema.
Keep it up, Don S.
Yeah.
Speaking of Don S., we'd like to give a shout out to Patreon subscribers, Don S., Aaron A., and Mandy K. Thank you much for your patronage. This is just Don S.'s way of kicking some of those residuals back to the show.
Yeah. It's just a vicious cycle.
We keep covering his au revoir.
Yeah. Oh wow.
It's right in his wheelhouse. So, but yeah, Back to the Future, your week.
Yeah.
So I've got the cast.
Yeah, let's hear who's in this flick, guys.
Pretty tiny cast, really. I mean, there's a lot of people, but it's
Yes.
pretty bare bones.
By definition, there are lots of people.
Right, and the cast.
There were lots of people in the past and the future.
There were some of them duplicates.
Yeah.
So we're looking at Michael J. Fox playing your main Back to the Future dude, Marty McFly. He's partnered somehow, somewhere. I'd like to see the prequel to this.
Yes.
To
Yeah, that might come up. That might come up later for me.
Figure out how Mr. McFly and Doc Brown crossed paths and became such big buddies. But yeah, Christopher Lloyd playing Emmett Doc Brown. Your scientist extraordinaire.
Yes.
You're basically your local kook.
Yes. Yeah. Local wise science kook.
Yeah,
Crazy, wacky inventions.
but fairly affluent. Like,
Yeah.
he doesn't seem to be hurting for financing. Like, I mean, look, I mean, how much disposable income did he spend on clocks? Like,
Yeah, he's got a big clock budget.
and it's like, what's the Guinness World Record for largest speaker? I think I could top that.
Yep, yeah, he's got it.
Yeah, so Doc Brown, he's your guy. We got Marty McFly's parents, played by Leah Thompson and Crispin Glover, as Lorraine and George.
Lorraine.
We see them in 85 and 55. As well as Mr. Biff Tannen, played by Thomas Wilson.
I love Biff.
I do love Biff.
Such a great movie villain.
I like Thomas Wilson.
Yeah, he is amazing in this role.
I mean, he's solid in obviously the whole trilogy, but other things that he's popped up in, he's just fun. He's just one of those character actors. He's just that guy. We do see some other ins and outs. Huey Lewis pops in.
I almost in my movie marriage threw in like a Huey Lewis music video.
Right. You got Huey Lewis popping in. You got Billy Zane popping in.
Billy Zane in a bit role.
Yeah.
Before he was. I almost said Sniper, but he wasn't Sniper. But no, he wasn't. Was he in Sniper? I don't remember. Before he was the Phantom. How about that?
Yeah, right. Before pre-Phantom.
Pre-Phantom. Pre-Phantom
Billy Zane. He was in. Now
I need to check.
Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight. He was in that flick.
Okay. He was in Sniper. See, I was right.
There you go. James Tolkien shows up.
Yeah.
Like Malachi himself, Courtney Gaines shows up in this movie.
Malachi.
Right? Who, like, he was a lot bigger and more menacing in Children of the Corn than he was in this film. Like, we're gonna need you to slim down and be an even nerdier. Like, and then my favorite appearance that I never clocked before now, but I think between this movie and this podcast and my other podcast, I'm starting to draw connections. As we're watching this, and Marty goes back to 55, we see him like crash at the Peabodys in their barn, and Pa Peabody comes out, and I'm looking at that guy. I'm like, that looks like the crazy grandpa in Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Of course you would notice that. I know that face anywhere.
I know. And it is. Will Hare, just like a year or two earlier, played Billy's crazy grandpa in Silent Night, Deadly Night.
It's a lucrative couple years for Will Hare.
At least, and then both had speaking parts. Like, so it is what it is. But yeah, so that's really it. You've got your main five, the McFlys, and Biff and Doc Brown, and then
some other people.
Yeah. So and so that's it. Here you've got other people that don't really matter. So there you go. Take it away.
All right. Well, that was the character rundown, folks. We'll get into the plot of this classic. I believe this film is in the IMDb Top 250.
Yes,
if memory serves. I also remember reading in the trivia that. I might get the school wrong, but I want to say UCLA or USC, one of the big schools in California. Like they're like film writing class. Like this is the film that they feature. Like this is how you write a script.
It wouldn't surprise me if it was USC, only because I know Spielberg spent some time at USC.
Sure.
So I wouldn't surprise me if there's a little help there. But either way, like this, we were talking pre-show. This movie's tight. Like. You know, sometimes you could see some glaring plot holes, but they did a really solid job with this movie. I really enjoy this movie.
Yeah, it's great plot, great story. So let's get into that plot story.
Yeah, hit it.
So we open, as you mentioned before, on a slow pan across several clocks, as well as a good old fashioned Rube Goldberg machine. That's trying to make Doc Brown breakfast. Again, it's one of those 80 tropes.
Yeah, he's not as good at building those as Pee Wee Herman is.
Correct. Yeah, you beat me to it. Although I did see a box of Mr. T cereal as well.
And a giant knife.
Yeah.
Brush.
And then he taped up his face.
He got stuck in Doc Brown's hair, though, so that's...
Marty enters Doc's place looking for Doc. He plugs his guitar into the aforementioned world's largest speaker.
Right, stands directly in front of it.
I'm pretty sure that was either their Pioneer or a Technique. Was it Technics?
I think it was. I think it was a Technic speaker.
Technics, yeah. And he plugs it in, strums across the guitar strings, and of course does the cartoonish fly across the room.
Right. It was because he put in a Maxell tape.
He did, yeah. It was a Max. He was seated in his leather chair with the high arms. Yeah.
When he sat down, it wouldn't have blown him as far.
Yeah. Let's see. Doc calls his own house knowing Marty would be there. Tells him, I need you to meet me at 1:15 a.m. in the Twin Pines Mall parking lot. Marty then skateboard hitches a ride to school. That's his thing. He grabs at the back of vehicles as the power of love.
Well, and just to show how kind of crazy Doc Brown is, like, Marty's late for school because Doc has an experiment to set all his clocks 25 minutes slow.
That's right.
Just because, like, it worked. What worked? They're all 25 minutes slow. Which Marty then quickly deduces, you're telling me I'm late for class? Yeah, that's what he's telling me.
It's his fault you're late, Marty.
Which is funny that he decided, I was 25 minutes before school. I totally have time to stop by Doc.
Stop by Doc's. At some point, Marty had to know the time.
I think Marty's kind of an idiot.
Yeah. Oh, according to Strickland, yes.
Well,
speaking of, Marty's girlfriend Jennifer tries to sneak him into school, but Dean Strickland catches them. Oh, that crusty Dean.
Poor Dean.
He warns McFly of hanging around with the dangerous Doc Brown, calls Marty a slacker, just like his father was.
It's sort of like touching noses.
Yeah. Like finger poke in the chest, all that. That's school discipline right there.
That's
folks.
right. That's how you handle it. Back in the 80s,
that deters behavior.
You almost make out with the kid to prove your point.
Just a gentle kiss on the forehead after.
Yeah, that's it.
Huey Lewis himself then calls Marty's band onto the stage to audition for the school dance. Of course, they're rejected. Marty tells Jennifer that his mom must have been born a nun because they're going camping together. I paused, sorry.
No, that's all right. Well, my daughter's iPod was just ringing and ringing.
Oh, okay.
I know her friends won't hang up, so...
Got it.
I just tossed it out of the office.
Okay. That was around the 12:15 mark.
Yeah, I got it.
If you're keeping score. So Marty's band is rejected. They don't make the cut for the school dance. Marty returns home that night. His father's car was wrecked by Biff. Biff is screaming at George, bullying him for not telling him about the car having a blind spot.
Yeah. I like just the throwaway line. It was like, I spilled my beer when he hit me.
Yeah.
It's your fault, McFly.
Yeah. Biff tells Marty to tell his mom that he says hi, which really kind of sets the scene for like the story amongst Biff and George and Lorraine. Right. As the family all pouts over dinner, not a very happy family atmosphere. Lorraine says it's terrible that Jennifer calls Marty. I never chased boys or sat in parked cars with boys.
Yeah,
sure.
they roll out the red carpet for the plot changing. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's well done, but there are times when you've seen it enough that you're like, how heavy can your hand get?
Yeah. I never called boys or went out on Saturday afternoons to that one diner down the block
with boys
and played this one particular song on the jukebox with boys.
I never had a boy in my room after he got hit by my dad in the middle of the road, and I took his pants off and commented on his underwear. Never did that with boys.
Oh, Lorraine tells the story of how she and George met. Her father hit George with the car. She expositions the future plot of the dance, the kiss in the dance floor, the lightning storm, blah, blah, blah. FYI, spoiler alert. Heads up.
We're not spoiling it. Lorraine's spoiling it.
That's right. It's Lorraine's fault. Blame her, not us.
Yeah.
At the mall parking lot that night at 1:15 a.m., Doc backs the DeLorean out of the truck. When you see a DeLorean out and about these days, maybe it's a parade, maybe it's on the rare occasion out on the roads.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think where did he come from?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's everyone's like, oh, DeLorean. What year's he from? Like, wonder if he's got a Mr. Fusion.
How come you're not driving 88 miles an hour?
But yeah, like there's only like 7 DeLoreans left. Like, and everybody that owns them, like, praises the Lord that this movie came out.
Yeah.
Because like finally a purpose for my DeLorean.
Yeah. Now I can talk about it. Every 4th of July, the next town north of my little podunk hometown, Beecher, Illinois,
Yeah.
would have a 4th of July parade. That's also the parade that came up a couple of weeks ago with Robot Reggie.
Yep.
But there was a guy in Beecher, Illinois, that owned a DeLorean, and he would always drive it in the parade. Cool story, Hans.
Yeah, great story. Yeah, Hans, he's so hot right now.
He's so hot. Hans, he's so hot. Marty films Doc as he narrates they're beginning a temporal experiment, Oz. Doc puts his dog Einstein in the car and remote drives it at them until it disappears.
Right. Like, Marty tries to step out of the way, and Doc just grabs him by the shoulder and pulls him. Like, no.
No.
I'm going down, you're going down.
While this car barrels down at us.
I asked you to meet me at 1:15 so we both could die for this experiment.
Yes, exactly.
But keep filming.
Yes. So the car drives at them and then just disappears into midair, leaving only the trail of the burned tire marks.
That they're standing on top of,
yes.
Like, green screen-wise.
Exactly.
It's fine.
Marty turns to Doc. Are you telling me you built a time machine out of a DeLorean?
Because, again, Marty, not the...
Yeah, it's not the fact that it's a time machine. It's that he used a DeLorean.
Yeah, that's the surprise. Like, you didn't use a Saab?
You built a time machine out of a BMW?
Right. Like, I do love this movie, and I feel like we're poking holes in it. But
yeah,
the more you and I talk to each other about it, like, Marty McFly is a moron. Like,
he's a slick moron, but a moron
he
nonetheless.
He is, but he's just a moron. You're telling,
well, like, he's also like a 17-year-old.
Yeah, well, and I know it's just a Michael J. Fox like Family Ties thing with the whole. So you're telling me, like, it's like, but again, yep, that's you've made the proper deduction, Marty.
Yeah. Doc sent the car and Einstein 1 minute into the future. It then returns 60 seconds later, covered in ice. Doc expositions to Marty how it works. I both love and hate the expositions.
Oh, there's so much of it.
Yeah.
Well, because everybody has to explain it to Marty because he's an idiot.
Yes.
So maybe kudos to the screenwriters. Like, if we make our kid dumb, we can exposition all day long.
What? Tell me more. What?
So you're telling me that
I don't get it.
It's like, oh man, he's like one area code away from just being in the Californians.
The California.
So you're telling me that
you take 405. Yeah.
What are you doing here? Devin.
Oh God. Oh, let's see. Doc again expositions to Marty how it all works. Time circuits, the flux capacitor,
right?
And then it runs on plutonium.
Yeah,
one of the safer, ingredients that you can work with. Doc says,
we've already seen a news broadcast about missing plutonium.
Yes. Doc says he suckered Libyan nationals out of the plutonium.
Suckered them.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Doc says, I'm going to go 25 years in the future. I want to be able to see who wins the next 25 World Series. A little sneaky preview of Back to the Future 2, by the way.
No kidding.
The Libyans then show up in the van. They're at like 1:20 a.m. in the Twin Pines parking lot.
They found me. How did they find me?
They chase him around, and Oz, they gun down Doc. We're 15 minutes into the movie, and Doc Brown is dead.
In a bloodless murder.
Mm-hmm. Marty jumps in the DeLorean, speeds to 88 miles an hour as he's being chased by the Libyans, and then Marty disappears as the Libyans crash into a photo booth.
Right. It wasn't my but it was close. How on earth did the Libyans keep up with the DeLorean?
That van could really, Yeah,
Like,
there was a lot more to it than it
yeah,
looked like.
because I mean, Marty was cooking around that parking lot, and they were like on his tail the entire time until he disappeared.
With the one guy hanging out at the top with the gun, who's just getting like pinballed around like the top hatch.
He broke every rib.
Yeah,
But he still held that bazooka.
every rib, including the driver's as well.
Right.
So Marty reappears now in a pasture, and he crashes into a barn. He escapes as the farmer shoots at him.
The aforementioned grandpa from Silent Night, Deadly
for those
Night.
that aren't keeping score.
If you've seen that movie and not this one, that's who you can expect to see in this scene.
Because there's so many folks out there that have seen Silent Night, Deadly Night, and not Back to the Future.
There's a good chance my co-host on the other podcast, Courtney,
That's
because we've covered Silent Night, Deadly Night, so I know she's seen that one.
Yes. Let's see. Marty pulls up after he escapes from the Farmer Peabody.
Yeah.
Marty pulls up to his 1985 subdivision, just having broke ground. It's not there other than the entrance to the subdivision.
Exactly, because that's how subdivisions start. You start by going. You put down the feature set of entering the subdivision.
Yeah. Except bushes and shrubs.
And then you start dragging dirt.
Yeah. He stashes the now malfunctioning car behind a billboard. Marty then walks the 2 miles to town, to Hill Valley. Mr. Sandman is playing as he walks into town, very disoriented. Walks through downtown, sees the attire, the stores. The clock tower is ringing. The clock in there is working, which it's not in 1985.
This really is a great scene. Like, I don't think I've paid as much attention to it prior to this viewing, but like, just him coming on, like, they did such a great job, like, making this look like the 50s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they really did. Marty goes to a diner, again, still kind of out of sorts, sits down next to his father, young George, played by, I guess, regular Christian Glover as opposed to aged up Christian Glover.
Crispin Glover.
What did I say? Christian?
Twice.
Oh, he was there too.
Yeah. He was.
He was doing the food. He was doing the food
next
service.
To Crispin.
Yeah.
If you were to watch this in Letterboxd, you'd have seen him.
Yes. Yeah. Biff walks in with Billy Zane in tow.
Yeah.
With Sniper himself. Marty watches Biff bully George. Follows George and catches George peeping on a woman from a tree. George had climbed a tree and was with a pair of binoculars.
Yep.
And was peeping on a woman undressing.
It was Lorraine. He's peeping on Lorraine. Like, this was supposedly, like, the day, like, conveniently enough, Marty went back in time the exact day his father was hit by Lorraine's dad, leading to their relationship.
There are a lot of conveniences in this
Very
movie.
convenient.
Yes, very convenient. It just happened to be that
the
exact
day.
Yeah, not just the day, the exact moment.
Yeah,
as
exactly.
Well. George falls from the tree. Marty then pushes him out of the way as the car is bearing down, and Marty gets hit by that car instead of George. And the family then takes him in. Marty comes to 9 hours later. His teenage mother is there caring for him, young Lorraine. She mistakes his name for Calvin Klein because that's what it says in his underwear.
Because she took the she took the privilege of just removing his pants.
Yeah.
Because remember, she's made it clear she doesn't do this kind of stuff with boys.
No, she doesn't do this kind of things. Yeah, she doesn't take
At
boys'
least that's
pants
what her
off.
kids know.
Yeah. Lorraine is smitten with Marty as he eats dinner with the family and then kind of hurriedly leaves. Marty then tracks down younger, they never really give his age, younger Dr. Brown at his home. Brown, I love this sequence as Doc comes to the door with this big ring on his head. His telepathy machines plops a suction cup right on Marty's forehead. As Marty is trying to convince him who he is, that he knows future Doc, Doc asks him, "Who's the president?" And of course, Marty says, "Ronald Reagan."
Yeah.
The actor.
Yeah. I come back. I come back to some of that stuff later.
Got it. Okay. Marty tells Doc about him falling off the toilet and his design for the flux capacitor, which Doc had previously told Marty.
Conveniently recently happened.
Yeah.
Because Doc still has the bandage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
all of this
literally within like 24
thankfully
hours.
coincides within, like you said, 24 hours of him arriving. Boy, I'm glad he came that day.
Yeah.
So we would have fallen apart otherwise.
Yeah, this movie would have had a short ride after that.
Yeah.
So Doc finally believes Marty. They go out to get the DeLorean. Marty shows him the flux capacitor, and Doc is happy. It works. His design that he had, it works. Marty plugs the camcorder that he was using into Doc's TV, shows him the footage of him and then old Doc getting shot.
As kind of a tech nerd, I would have really liked to see how they got that to work.
Mm-hmm.
Like the outputs of that VHS camcorder, I would have liked to see how they got that wired into this antenna television.
Probably through the HDMI port.
Probably. Doc had so many dongles and converters.
Yeah, it's a lot of dongles coming out.
A
lot of dongles.
We're just gonna daisy chain these dongles together. Yeah. But we'll get it. Don't you worry, Marty.
Just plug it into the surge protector and the dongle. We'll get there. Ouch, trip. Doc says, I can't get Marty back because I don't have access to plutonium.
Right.
Which, duh. If only we knew when and where a bolt of lightning would strike us, because that's the only thing.
Which also happens to happen, like, right now.
Yes, yeah. Oh, hey, I know when a bolt of lightning is going to strike there, Doc Brown. It's going to hit the clock tower at 10:04 on Saturday night.
Right. It's a busy week for the McFly family.
A lot going on in the town of
55
Hill Valley. Yeah. Marty tells Doc he met his parents, to which Doc is like, "How much time did you spend with them?"
Right.
And then Doc looks at a picture of Marty with his siblings in a photo, and Marty's oldest brother is disappearing from the photo. He's fading away. Marty and Doc then go to the school because, like, we got to get your mom and dad together. This isn't how their story works.
Right.
Otherwise, you will fade away, Marty. Marty tries to introduce George to Lorraine. She ignores George, just blows him off.
Oh, yeah.
Calls Marty a dreamboat.
Oh, yeah. She's totally hot for her son.
It's a dreamboat.
He's the most.
The most dreamboat.
Right.
In the cafeteria, George hides his sci-fi stories that he's writing for Marty. Marty tries to convince him to ask Lorraine to the dance. Across the way, Biff is sexually harassing Lorraine. Marty stands up to Biff, and they almost fight. Later, George refuses to ask Lorraine to the dance. I'm not ready to ask Lorraine to the dance, and not you or anyone else on this planet is going to change my mind.
Good thing he specified that it had to have been earthbound.
Yes, on this planet.
Yeah.
Only an extraterrestrial could change my mind.
Someone from outer space could do it.
Yes.
Like who?
I wonder. So that night, Marty sneaks into George's room with a full body, like radioactivity fallout suit on.
Yeah.
He had recorded his voice onto his Walkman, I guess. Mm-hmm. Put the earphones on George and said he was Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan.
He played some Eddie Van Halen for him.
Yeah.
I'm Darth Vader.
The next day, Marty puts George up to ask Lorraine out at the dinner. Lou, give me a milk. Chocolate.
Yeah.
Such a dumb moment, but funny.
It really is.
He's trying to talk himself up so he gets himself a chocolate milk.
Do this. You can do it.
Slapping himself in the face.
Right.
You got this, George. Come on. Come on.
He turns his hat around like Lincoln Hawk and over the top.
Rolls up his right arm sleeve.
Yep.
As George starts to ask out Lorraine, Biff walks in. The music stops. Marty trips and then punches Biff as Lorraine calls him a dream.
Oh, he's so dreamy.
Marty then makes a makeshift skateboard out of some kid's toy.
No. Marty invents the
That's it. He invents the skateboard.
Yes. Didn't exist before this
yes,
moment.
he invents the skateboard. Biff and his crew chasing his car. We get the classic chase scene around the square before they run into a manure truck.
Before they announce what they're about to be covered with.
Yeah. Poop! Manure! That's what I yell when I need an expression.
That's what I yell in the bathroom.
Manure!
Manure!
Manure! Oh, manure!
Holy manure!
You got to be manuring me.
That guy's a manure for brains.
Back at Doc's, he's watching the video of the mall attack. Doc has an almost scale model built of downtown Hill Valley.
He's been busy.
Yeah, so he shows Marty the plan. We know when the lightning is going to strike the clock tower. We're going to rig these cables up, and you're going to hit this with the DeLorean. Going 88 at the moment the clock strikes 10:04. He then models it, to which everything catches fire.
Right. To which he just goes, ah!
Yeah. I love, like, the jaw dropping, too, on Christopher Lloyd's performance there. Lorraine then shows up to Doc. She tailed Marty. She tracked him down, Oz. She follows him and asks him to the dance. I would never be in a parked car with boys.
No,
I would never call a boy.
That Jennifer. She's bad news, Marty.
Yeah, exactly. The next day, Marty shares his plan with George that George is going to save Lorraine from Marty. So basically, Marty will take her to the dance. He'll fake put the moves on her.
Yeah. I'll take one for the team and make out with my mom.
Yep. And then George will show up and save the day. That's the plan.
Yeah.
Marty tells George you need self-confidence. If you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything.
Yeah. With great power comes great responsibility.
The more you know.
Exactly.
Knowing is half the battle. Yeah. Sergeant Slaughter says.
Right. Thanks, Roadblock.
No problem, Bazooka. That night, Doc and Marty prepare the DeLorean and the site. Marty tries to tell Doc about Doc getting shot, but Doc says, I can't know about the future. So Marty tries to writes him a letter. The dance has begun. Marvin Berry and the Starlighters play the Enchantment Under the Sea dance. Yes, Oz.
Your cousin Marvin Berry.
Your cousin Marvin. Marty and Lorraine pull up. Lorraine tells Marty, it's not like I've never parked before.
Right.
Takes a huge swig of alcohol, lights up a cigarette. Lorraine says, Marty, you sound like my mother, as he's kind of scolding her.
Right.
Lorraine then aggressively kisses Marty.
Yes.
Like, aggressively kisses him. To which, after Lorraine pulls back, Marty is, like, petrified solid.
Frozen,
Yeah. Eyes wide. And to which Lorraine, something's up here. I felt like I just kissed my brother.
Yeah, well.
Well, you're not too far off there, Lorraine. So someone walks up. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
How does Lorraine know what it feels like to kiss her brother? Trust me, I know.
If there's anybody who knows what it's like to kiss their brother, this gal knows.
You met my brother. He was EJ in Monster Squad and Kevin's brother in Growing Pains. He was. It was.
I believe you. Just good. Kudos on your.
I can't think of what the actor's name is, but it doesn't matter.
So somebody approaches the car door there, Oz. The plan is going.
Yeah.
You know, Marty is supposedly spooked Lorraine. Lorraine is clearly spooked, not quite the way they intended.
Right.
But the car door opens and a hand pulls Marty out. However, Oz, it's not George, it's Biff.
Biff.
It's Biff. What a great bully name too, by the way.
I
love just everything about him is like he's like the world's best bully.
By far, yeah.
Biff. So he
pulls him out. Butthead.
Exactly. The other three bullies lock Marty. They haul him off. They throw him in the trunk of the Marvin Berry and the Starlighters vehicle. As Biff gets in the car, or Bill, as I have in my notes here, gets in the car and begins sexually assaulting Lorraine.
Again.
Yes. However, even more aggressively than in the cafeteria.
It just shows how much Lorraine's not into Biff, because apparently Biff is like the only one. I feel like Biff and George are the only two that she hasn't made it with.
It's not like I haven't parked with 24 guys before,
Right.
Calvin.
Exactly. It's like, you're the new guy. I have to check you off my list.
Sounds like a steno pad. Like.
Exactly.
George runs out to the parking lot because he's already a couple minutes late. He was supposed to be there at 9 o'clock. He runs out, sees and hears Lorraine struggling in the car, so he thinks the plan is well underway. Opens the car door and begins reciting the lines that Marty wrote for him. Hey, you, get your hands off. Then realizes it's Biff, not Marty. A terrified Lorraine just cries for help. Biff shoves Lorraine as he holds George's arm, twisting his arm, on the verge of breaking it. George then sees the panic on Lorraine's face, clenches his fist, and knocks out Biff.
He wailed him.
Yeah, he did. All just complete force.
Yeah.
A lot of yaw in that. He really used his physics.
He wouldn't have been much of a pro wrestler, only because, like, he was only in a single turn armbar.
Yeah.
I don't think his arm would have stayed on had it like stepped underneath it and wound it up a second time. I don't think George's arm would have survived that. But
or you do the other way out of it in pro wrestling is that you just kind of do a flip over.
Yeah, you do like a monkey roll to reverse the spin. So
that's leverage, folks.
Yeah,
that's how that works.
Leverage was not designed for a double, or like a
no.
Not a double arm bar, but just like a rotated arm bar.
No, Crispin Glover was not. Christian Glover, on the other hand.
Christian Glover, yeah.
Christian, yes.
Yeah, he used to wrestle with Edge.
He did. Christian. Yeah, they didn't say his last name a lot.
Oh, he didn't want to be tied to his brother.
Yeah, Christian Glover and his brother Edge. And Gangrel was there sometimes too.
Sometimes.
So stupid.
What do you expect from us?
Yeah, exactly. This is our brand. So Lorraine and George go inside. Yay! The band's guitar player Marvin has cuts his hand getting because the keys were in there, so they had to like pick the lock.
Yeah.
And he cuts his hand getting Marty out of the back of this car. Marty begs them, "You've got to keep playing. You've got to keep playing. I can't play. My hand is cut." So Marty, being the guitar player we learned about before, yes,
the guitar player,
takes over as his siblings completely disappear from the photo. A different bully, the aforementioned what's his name again? Malachi. That's right, Malachi from Children of the Corn, pulls Lorraine away from George on the dance floor as Marty starts to disappear.
You could tell because he realistically lifts an arm in front of his face, and you see it fading.
Yeah, he takes an arm, holds it in front of the green screen.
Right.
Yeah.
It's another one of those that high definition doesn't do it any favors.
Like, again, 85, there's a lot of great effects in this movie.
Oh, yeah, there really are.
That wasn't one of them.
No.
No, that was not one of them. So, again, Marty is struggling to play. He's literally fading from existence.
Yeah.
As George walks back over, pushes the bully away, pushes Malachi away. Excuse me. He and Lorraine then kiss as Earth Angel plays. Marty finishes the song. His siblings reappear. All is well, Oz.
Do you think his siblings in 1985 actually disappeared?
Who would have noticed him if they were gone?
True. They were still sitting at the breakfast table.
Yeah, exactly, arguing.
Right.
How about being lonely and having a terrible job?
Right. Wearing their Mickey Mouse sweatshirt.
Yeah. Exactly. Marvin then suggests to Marty that they play something that really cooks.
Yeah.
Again, this is 1955, folks.
Yep. Yeah.
Marty then fires up Johnny Be Good, and the crowd goes wild as someone who's clearly not Michael J. Fox starts singing.
Oh, very, very obviously. I love it when Marty turns around and tells clearly this band is flexible and can play anything. Because here's a song in style they've never heard before, but he's like, "Oh, we're gonna drop this and just kick the can or whatever." Just all this scat wording that he's doing. And he's like, "Just follow me on the treble," and then
you're just spouting up music words now, aren't you?
I am. I don't know.
kick it into the bass clef,
Right,
allegro,
I'm gonna
3/4
slap the
time
bass.
snare
Yeah.
drum.
Yeah, right. And hit me a cappella.
Was Carmen Sandiego? Do it, Rockapella. Marvin then runs to the back and holds up the phone for his cousin Chuck Berry
Yeah.
to hear. So thus, rock and
As
roll.
Marty is goose stepping, or not goose stepping.
Yeah,
duck
be
walking.
careful with that one. He wasn't goose stepping.
Right, no, he wasn't goose stepping.
Yeah,
It's a whole
he was duck walking.
Yeah,
Wrong
duck
foul.
Oh, yeah, I was close.
He was swan diving. He was-
Goose stepping.
he was goose. Yeah.
This is where we find out Marty McFly is a Nazi.
Not a good look for Marty here. They're only 10 years removed from World War II.
Marty shows his true colors.
Yeah, he was McCarthy was after him the whole time.
Right.
For you history buffs, the history
Right.
joke. So all is well. They're back together. Cool. So we cut to the penultimate scene here, Oz. Doc is pacing in front of the clock tower just before 10. Marty arrives. I'll see you in 30 years. Doc finds the letter in his pocket that Marty wrote, tears it up. Can't do it. However, just as Marty is about to go, the wind is picked up and a branch falls in the power line, Oz, disconnecting it from the clock tower.
No.
Marty races to the start line in the DeLorean, preps the car, and he decides, I'm going to take matters into my own hands. I'm going to go back 10 minutes earlier and warn Doc in the future so he doesn't get shot.
Right.
The car stalls while Doc is struggling on the clock tower to reconnect the cables. Marty starts the car and floors it.
Well, with a well-placed headbutt.
Yes, he headbutts the steering wheel. Gives it an old Andre the Giant.
Exactly. Double noggin knocker.
Axe and Smash from Demolition just happened to be there. Along with Bush and Luke from the Bush.
Brought to you by WWE.
Yeah. Marty floors it while Doc is connecting the towers of the cable, somehow disconnects the other cable down below. As the clock strikes 10:03 Oz, Doc slides down the cables, reconnects them as the clock hits 10:04. The lightning strikes the tower. Marty and the DeLorean at 88 miles an hour disappear, leaving the flaming car tracks behind. Oz, it worked. They did it.
Woo.
Cut to a helicopter flying over the old clock tower. Clock stuck at 10:04 in 1985. The DeLorean reemerges. Marty recognizes it's 85. The DeLorean again stalls, and the terrorist van drives past him. So he has to take off on foot to the Lone Pine Mall.
Right, yeah. I've always enjoyed that because
Yes.
he took out one of the pine trees when he emerged in 55.
Mm-hmm. Thus, it's now the Lone Pine Mall, not Twin Pines. And he gets there just in time to watch Doc get gunned down and watch himself travel back in time. Marty runs to the shot. Doc flips him over. Doc comes to. He's alive. He had a bulletproof vest on, and he did read the letter. Doc drops Marty off at his house and says, I'm going to travel 30 years into the future. The next morning, Marty awakes to Back in Time by Huey Lewis in the News. Disoriented Marty wakes up to a very nice home with nice furniture. His brother Dave is wearing a suit.
Yeah.
And his sister Linda is complaining about so many male callers that she's getting.
Right. Still with that like gravelly voice she's got.
Yeah.
They're calling me Marty.
It's got 3 Marble or 100s in
Was
her
it
hand.
Craig or was it Greg?
Which one was it, Greg or Craig? Pardon me. Ha! Ha! George and Lorraine walk in. George is wearing sunglasses and has a polo and a sport coat. Lorraine is thin. Biff is outside in a tracksuit, waxing George's BMW in the driveway.
I love beat up Biff.
Yeah, I do too. It's such a great juxtaposition. George tells Biff, hey, don't con me, as Biff is trying to get away with only putting one coat of wax
One coat of wax on it.
That Biff, what a character. Biff brings in a box of George's new novel. Hey, Mr. McFly, your new novel arrived. A Match Made in Space. His new sci-fi novel.
Took him 30 years to write it, apparently.
Yeah, a long time. George tells the kids, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything.
Somebody that looks exactly like your brother told me that 30 years ago.
Marty's dream truck from earlier is in the garage. Jennifer
Right.
comes by for their big date,
4x4.
which the parents are in support of.
Oh yeah, like go ahead, take your your teenage girlfriend to the lake.
Yeah.
Your mom, hey, your mom's not going to stop you.
Uh-uh.
She used to do that stuff with boys.
Yeah. One that looked just like you.
Right.
Marty, you're acting like you haven't seen me in a week. As they kiss, Doc emerges in the DeLorean wearing future clothes and sunglasses. He's got like Bret the Hitman Hart style
He does.
sunglasses.
I like those songs. I always like those wraparounds.
He then put Jennifer in the sharpshooter. Doc demands that Marty and Jennifer come back with him to the future. He then fuels the car's Mr. Fusion home energy reactor
Yeah,
with
he got
garbage.
he got that from the Spaceballs store.
Yeah. The Mr. Flamethrower. Doc says Marty and Jennifer's kids are messed up. That's why they gotta go. As Marty says, we don't have enough road to get up to 88 miles an hour.
Roads. Where we're going, we don't need roads.
The DeLorean then lifts off and flies into the camera as it begins its time travel. And that, folks, is 1985's Back to the Future. At this point in the show, Oz and I will each give our own unique rating about the film in question, 1985's Back to the Future. Oz, how would you rate this flick?
I'm going to give this an 85.
An 85.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 1985.
A 1985. Perfect.
Yeah, what about you?
I'm gonna give this movie 1.21 gigawatts.
Ooh, good one. Nice.
All right, next up, folks, we have Outside Insights. Oz and I have been scouring the interwebs, searching for unprofessional reviews that tickle our funny bones, and we hope they tickle yours as well. Oz, what is your Outside Insight?
I've got two of them totaling 1 star. Here's a half-star letterbox
A total of 1 star.
Yeah. Here's a half-star letterbox review from Joey. Utter dog manure. Can't believe I ever considered this my favorite movie. It just doesn't make sense. Is Doc Marty's uncle or what? How does the teenager know this coked out old fart in the first place? Also, he kisses his mom. Ew. This is a huge step down for Michael J. Fox from his masterclass performance in Teen Wolf. It's so depressing there's no werewolves or basketball in this.
Yeah, neither.
My second one is a half-star review from Tyrone Dabs 47, also on Letterboxd.
Tyrone Dabs?
Yeah, Tyrone Dabs. This is just weird. Not even as a movie, just as an idea. They have the ability to travel in time, and yet they don't attempt to stop any major catastrophe. Instead, he flirts with his mom. Doesn't stop 9/11, COVID, Ukraine's war with Russia, the enslavement of Muslims in Chinese concentration camps whilst the filming of Mulan occurs, the Israel-Palestine conflict, the conflict in my head, the movie release of Cats, my own hairline. All these could have been stopped by Marty McFly, but he wanted to be Marty McGuy who flirts with his mom. Shabby dialogue. I don't know how when he went back to 1955 he couldn't stop 9/11. COVID.
Yeah. His receding hairline.
Well, maybe, Tyrone Dabs, those things hadn't happened yet.
Yeah, maybe pick up a history book.
Right, Tyrone Dabs 47. So those are that's my collectively one-star review. What do you got?
My outside insight, as always, comes from the Internet Movie Database. This is a 1 out of 10 star review from Elvis Fangirl, left in February of this year, 2023. They're just a couple months old. This sci-fi would have been perfect if the tacky swearing didn't exist. I despise strong language in films, songs, and TV shows, which is why I regularly don't watch them. Although...
I don't watch them on the regular.
Yeah, I don't irregularly watch them either.
I plan to not watch them.
Although Back to the Future has an excellent plot and originality, I still think it could be more enjoyable without foul language in every scene. I have only seen it 1.5 times in my life for those reasons. It would be a lot more times for me if it didn't blurt obscene words in every scene. What's wrong with those writers? I could tell they just don't care what they put in those scripts. It's just too inappropriate.
Right. Get off my lawn.
Elvis Fangirl.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
The same guy who was banned from TV from the waist down.
Right. she didn't see him then.
Yeah, well, how could she?
Right. Yeah. Elvis fangirl. She doesn't do things in cars with boys.
No, she doesn't do things in cars
Right?
with boys. No, not at all.
This is original 85 Lorraine we're talking about.
Yeah. Lorraine Fangirl 1.
Right.
All right. Hey, Oz, it's that time for our signature segment. That time all of our loyal listeners and viewers have been waiting for. The 3-2-1, in which Oz and I each share 3 goods, 2 bads, and 1 about the film in question, 85's Back to the Future. Oz, what are your 3 goods?
My first one is Crispin Glover. He's perfect in this role. He's not in a lot of stuff. Or at least he wasn't in a lot of stuff. But when he does show up, he's just such a unique talent that I thought he was perfect for George. Just nailed it. So kudos to you, Crispin Glover. You're my first good.
Yeah, you couldn't pull off awkward better than Crispin Glover did in this
Somebody
movie.
who's just awkward.
Yeah, and not even Christian Glover could have matched his performance.
He's
no,
cut.
you know, he's suave.
Right. My second is just the attention to detail. Like there's, you watch it the first time, you notice it's a well done movie. You watch it the second time, and there's so many just like sight gags and red herrings in here.
Yeah.
Like cutting through the clocks, and you see the I can't think of which silent era actor it was, hanging from the clock arm, and then of course we see that later on.
Yeah.
And and then when Marty makes it back to 55, just the way they overhauled everything, the attention to detail in this movie was spot on. And my third, much like you get really excited when there's miniatures in the movie, I love titular lines, and this this movie has Emmett Brown dropping a titular line: "We got to get you back to the future." And I was weak on my third good until that one. I'm like, titular line, I'm in.
Titular line, there you go.
Love myself a titular line. Those are my 3 goods. What do you got?
Oh, my 3 goods, and there's so many to pick from. You had some great ones there.
There really are.
I got to go back to almost where we started with Thomas Wilson's performance as Biff Tannen. Gets just one of the best movie bad guys I think ever, and Thomas Wilson does such a great job selling it. Even like his physicality, his mannerisms, how his voice inflections. What are you looking at, butthead?
Right. I want you to make like a tree and get out of here.
he sells it so well, and
really.
it's punctuated at the end when he's the opposite.
Yes.
When he's McFly. when he's meek Biff at the end. When he's the bully Eid instead of the bully Yor.
And it's like he's still wearing the effects of that punch 30 years later.
Yeah, he's just this meek little puppy. He's still trying to pull little shenanigans. But he's trying to be sneaky and get away with things as opposed to impose his power and will over people.
Right.
That's all it takes. I love that.
There's a message to take from this, kids. If you're bullied, just deck your bully.
Yes, yeah.
Knock him clean on the, just punch him in the face.
Yeah, physical violence solves everything.
Yep. And they will become your whipping boy.
Yes, for the next 30 years.
Yeah.
When you write your sci-fi novel, they'll excitedly bring it inside for you.
Yeah, you'll get the girl.
You will. She'll be thin.
That's all it takes.
You'll have a polo and a sport coat.
Make sure they're your bully, though.
Yes.
Because, it has to be your bully.
Yeah, not somebody else's bully, your bully.
Yeah, not just a bully.
You can't be any random bully.
No, it's got to be someone who's bullying you.
Yeah. Oh, my second good. Let's go with... Oh, God, there's so many. Marty and Doc meeting each other for the first time in 1955. I mentioned it earlier, but just, Doc shows up at the door and he just defines eccentric scientist.
Yes.
That gigantic contraption on his head, sticks the suction cup on Marty's head, pulls him inside because he's in the middle of an experiment. He can't stop, of course. He has to see this through. And Marty's is just like, he's just trying to communicate with him, but Doc's not here. I'm in the middle of science. Science is going to happen. My last good will be it's just a silly line, and I don't think I ever caught this before. As you said, as we've talked about before, good films, fun films, you catch something new and different every time, and I caught something new this time through. Doc and Marty are at the high school in 1955, trying to find George, trying to find Lorraine, and Doc notices like I think like a poster or something on the wall
Okay.
for the
I think
dance, and he goes, "Look, there's a rhythmic ceremonial ritual coming up."
I noticed that for the first time this viewing too.
Yeah. So
I just said to my wife, I go, is Doc so distant he can't even say dance? Like
no,
he doesn't even know what
it's a
that is.
rhythmic ceremonial ritual.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's my last good, Oz. It's just Doc not knowing what a dance is. You know what it is of, but not what it is. So those are my three goods. Hey, Oz, what are your two bads for Back to the Future?
This movie came out in the 80s.
Yep,
So it's got it's racist. Like
it is racist. This movie's racist.
Yeah. You got your Libyan nationals.
Mm-hmm.
They try to hide it a little bit and being in the 50s, like this is how we're going to treat Gordy Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
And it's and so that's my first bad. It's just that bitter taste of 80s cinema racism.
Yep. And even there was the words, there's what Biff bullies friends, they used a word towards the black band members as well.
Yeah.
And even there's the bigger theme that did a white guy just invent rock and roll? That I was a little oh no.
Yeah, I didn't pick that up. But you're right. Look, white guy had to show Chuck Berry what this is how you should sound, Chuck.
Yeah, that doesn't work today.
No,
so lots of racism.
Yeah, lots of racism there. And my second is the over reliance of, hey, this was relevant in 85, but unknown in 55 jokes.
Yeah.
There were so many of them, especially when he got back to the 50s about, who's Calvin Klein? And, I've seen this episode of The Honeymooners, and it's just, who's the president? Ronald Reagan. The actor?
The actor?
It just seemed like there was about 15 to 20 minutes.
The Apprentice host?
Right. It was 15 to 20 minutes where, every conversation Marty was in, it was about something that made sense in the 80s that didn't apply in the 50s.
It got a little old.
Yeah, and it was just there's another one. Oh no, you'll catch it on reruns. Reruns? What's a rerun? I'm like, oh good Lord. It's almost like they sat down and, hey, what are things that work in the 80s but not in the 50s, and then built this part of the script around it.
Nick at Night. What's Nick at Night?
Right, exactly. It's all right. And so it was okay, I get it. But that was my second bad. Is it just you've seen the movie as many times as we have, and then it's it's a great film, but there were parts where it's yep, this we get it. He's not in 85 anymore.
Yeah.
So, it's even the are you in the Navy? Because you're wearing a life jacket. There's a life jacket joke again. So those are my two bads. What do you got?
My first bad, half of my bads were all about the racism, so just different instances of the racism. We kind of mentioned all the coincidences before. So the lightning hit the clock tower at exactly the stroke of 10:04.
Sure.
There's 60 seconds in there, which is a long time in the lifespan of a lightning strike.
Yeah.
So
sure.
Okay, it's Hollywood magic, sure.
Either way, he still had to have that ready on the minute because he didn't know when it was going to happen.
Sure. So okay. My other bad is I don't think of myself as like a mean person. I wanted to bully young George.
Yeah, yeah. He was.
That's really out of character for me, but he was so neebish.
Yeah,
and
it looked like it might be fun.
Yeah. This is what it's like to feel like a bully.
Right. I don't consider myself a bully either, but yeah, you find yourself this guy's pathetic.
Yeah, I kind of would have push him down and tell him not to come back to the diner.
Right.
No, I'm not comfortable with you here. So
he's pretty bad.
Yeah. So that's more of a bad on me for young George.
Yeah.
Poor guy. All right, those are my two bads. Hey, Oz, what's your huh?
Okay. My huh, and I attribute portion of this to my wife as we're watching this. Right before Marty goes back to 85, we see Doc with a puppy.
Mm-hmm.
Are we to believe that Einstein is 30 years old at 85?
It's one healthy dog.
Or does he have multiple dogs and just keep naming them Einstein over the years?
Einstein 2, Einstein 3.
Because I mean, that's the illusion it gave you in the movie when they show you in 1955 this puppy that looks like, oh, that's the same dog breed as Einstein. So yeah, we were like, what is Einstein 30?
It's that Alpo diet. Keep them joints healthy.
Yeah, great vet care. So that's my huh is did Doc Brown have multiple dogs named Einstein, or is Einstein 30 plus years old in 1985?
Good call.
Either way, whatever. So that's my huh. What do you got?
My huh, we kind of danced around it a little bit at the top of the show here. How did Marty and Doc meet in 1985? Because Doc has to at least be in his 60s, probably more like 70s.
Right.
And because he already had like white hair and whatnot, and came across this this kind of a senile scientist in the 50s. Yeah. This is 30 years later. Yeah. So he was probably in his 70s. Marty's like 17.
Exactly.
How did they meet? How did they become pals? How, to the point that Marty just lets himself into his house.
Yeah, like he knows where the key's at.
Yeah. Like, how does that work?
I don't know.
Is it like a big brother kind of thing?
Marty checked himself into Big Brothers Big Sisters despite having a full family.
Well, his family was pretty pathetic the first time.
They were.
To be
but
honest.
It's like here's your 17-year-old son hanging out with a 70-year-old man, and you're worried about his teenage girlfriend.
Yeah. I don't like that girl calling you, Marty. Why don't you take some notes from that 73-year-old man you hang out with all the time?
You need to spend more time with Grandpa Doc. I don't know.
With this senile man with plutonium in his house.
Right. Watch out for Libyan nationals, because they seem to be around.
They'll get you every time.
Yeah, so I'm with you, though. My first hunt, I thought it was kind of an obvious one, so I left it out, was why did George not really be too concerned that his third-born child looks exactly like that guy from 55 that set him up with his wife? Like,
well,
have you seen Calvin Klein lately, Lorraine?
He came into the world wearing that vest, and so they're like, "Oh, that's got to be a Marty."
Yeah, but it's like he looks exactly.
Yeah,
because obviously it's the same character, but it's like we're only talking like 13 years after graduation that Marty was born. If he's 30 years later and he's 17, so
it wasn't too long.
And we know Lorraine had no problem passing herself out. So it's just odd.
I don't go into parked cars with boys.
George never questioned why does my third son look exactly like that guy from high school?
That showed up for a week. Who was parking with my now wife.
the one whose plan it was to look, I'm gonna go make out with Lorraine, but you are gonna come pull me off of her.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna dodge town for a while.
Yeah. No eyebrows raised.
Like, yeah, he was there for like 3 days and then skipped town and no one ever saw him again.
Didn't make much of an impression.
No. It was a busy week for Hill Valley.
It was. There was lightning. There was rhythmic ceremonial rituals.
Right. The bus boy at the diner had mayoral aspirations now.
Chocolate milkshakes sliding all over the counter.
Skateboards are invented.
Manure everywhere.
It's like, how do we miss Marty leaving?
Manure for brains.
Like, rock and roll was created.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, rock and roll. It was a big week in Hill Valley.
He seemed to be the center of all of it. We got
There's a lot going on.
Forrest Gump going on here, right? Hill Valley.
All right, well, hey, folks, that's 1985's Back to the Future. Hey, Oz, what do we got in store for week 2 of oxymoronic titles?
You had mentioned there with your hun that we danced around Marty and Doc.
I see what you're doing.
We're going to come back next week and dance around just a little bit more.
I hear your voice. You're going Texan on me.
Well, you kind of have to, because you don't mess with Texas.
You don't mess with Texas legally.
The next week's movie is the complete reason for this.
Yes.
One of my wife's favorite movies is Urban Cowboy, the 1980 romantic Western film, starring John Travolta and Deborah Winger and Scott Glenn. Can't forget Scott Glenn.
Hunky Scott Glenn.
Hunky Scott Glenn.
He's very hunky in this.
He's chiseled.
I can already predict that will probably be one of my goods. hunky Scott Glenn.
This is pre-FBI Clarice Starling Scott Glenn. This is this was back when he was he's chiseled.
Yeah, he is.
There's a reason why he has his shirt off 80% of the movie.
and when he is wearing a shirt, it's like a nylon sleeve.
It's like one of those half jerseys or something.
like the pennies you wore in PE when like you're red, you're yellow. There's one of those just in black.
Yeah, I could see where like back in high school they're like, you put on go get your pennies on. He's like, I'd rather get shirts and skins. Let's just do that. And I'll be skins.
Can I keep that penny? I got a big rodeo this weekend.
I got a movie going up. I got a rodeo over at Gillies.
Gillies.
So we're covering Urban Cowboy, John Travolta. Bud and Sissy romance. Again, one of my wife's favorite movies. I enjoy this movie too. Not a big country music fan, but I really enjoy the soundtrack to this movie.
I enjoy parts of the soundtrack.
Well, yeah. I mean, to be fair, not all of it, but there are parts of this that are just fun. And I've always had a soft spot for if I can tie a song to a movie I've seen, I tend to appreciate the song a little bit more.
Sure.
Like American Girl by Tom Petty is a fine song, but it hits different when you've seen Silence of the Lambs. Mm-hmm. So that kind of thing. And so that's where a lot of the songs hit for this movie. But we will be back next week, week 2 of Oxymoronic Title Month, as we cover Urban Cowboy. Social media-wise, you guys could find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. There is a link to Patreon down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and do all that stuff you're supposed to do. But yeah, Back to the Future is a fun episode. Mm-hmm. I think next week will be a fun episode as well, as we cover Urban Cowboy, and we'll see you guys next week.
See ya.